Welcome back to Untested Arcana. This is our second episode. Again, this video is a cut-down version of 2 live streams I did around last week. As always, if you like the content, if you maybe want to try it out, test it, give some feedback, the subclass we designed today is already up on D&D Beyond, and it should be linked in the description. But I'll keep this intro short because I think I explained it pretty well this live stream, so enjoy. This is the second episode of Untested Arcana, show where I take popular characters from media, video games, movies, stuff like that, and turn them into initially homebrew subclasses for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Obviously, things in that arena are in flux right now. Yeah, the hope with this show is that someone can watch episodes of it and learn the kinds of decisions that go into making homebrew or really making tabletop content at all, which I think by extension you can learn a little bit something about game design in general. I realized that last episode was sort of less instructional than I'd like. And so I'm going to be trying this time to focus a little bit more on that. We'll see how it goes. So I think the best way to get this started is to start the game. I'm very nervous about this. Last time it was a rough selection. Woof. So there's 3 Fire Emblem characters. One of which is Robin, which of all the characters on screen, the one I've played the most. I would say that right off the bat, I don't consider Marth a good option. I think that if you're going to be making homebrew for a system, in this case for 5e, you should try to make something that doesn't exist, that you can't satisfactorily play with the content that already exists. And there are about 1,000 ways to be a blue-haired sword man. I said this last time because we got Fox last time. Fox and Wolf, to me, are uninteresting. Thinking about the RPG or the game that you're making content for, thinking about what it does well and what it doesn't do well, and I'm sure that there are great supplements to do vehicle combat in D&D. Fox and Wolf I consider primarily defined by flying of spaceships. I'm not interested in them. I think Bayonetta is sort of an obvious choice. Bayonetta is like a really interesting character from a really interesting game that is super strange. It is a game I haven't played. I've not played any of the games. They seem amazing. I think that if I was going to do Bayonetta, I would want to do it with the help of someone who actually cared about the character and who was familiar with the character and played their games and can help me understand what it feels like to play a Bayonetta game, which I don't understand. Ness, super weird, from a super weird game that I have not played. I really should not have chosen Super Smash Bros. It's just something that I own and I can randomize 8 characters in, and there's not a lot of things I could do that with. I'm going to ignore Ness for now, because I think, again, interesting, but sort of outside my jurisdiction. So, to me, it's between Mega Man and Robin. Mega Man is really interesting. I've played Mega Man games. I've in fact, played the Fire Emblem game that Robin is from, and I've played Robin a lot in Super Smash. All right, let's see. If one of them wins, we'll do them. That's sort of terrible. Whatever. This time we're doing Robin. Robin is interesting. Robin is a swordsman and a mage. I think that's what I really like about Robin in this game is that interplay of those skills. Oh god. Now what's interesting is that Robin comes from a tactical grid-based fighting game, which is in some ways closer to D&D than Super Smash Bros. Is. In fact, in a lot of ways. Robin can wield a sword if they have to. Sometimes that sword is magical and lightning-y, and then has command over some fire, some lightning, and a little bit of necrotic sort of life-drainy sort of stuff. They're also primarily defined in this game by the scarcity of these resources, by being able to do a thing a number of times and then recharge it. They don't appear to wear armor, but They're not wearing just regular clothes. They're in like sort of battle robes. Yeah, there's boots. It's light armor. So this is an important sort of design thing. There's a concept called game feel, which in a video game you can affect through like some technical stuff. You can change the way the controls feel. You can change things like screen shake and the VFX. You can make it so that the game sort of feels a certain way. Now, what's tricky is that in a tabletop RPG, especially now that we've all gone like digital, or so many of us have gone digital, game feel is a little harder. The levers are a little more obtuse because the computer of a tabletop game is the human mind. And it's really collectively all the human minds at the table. So you want to think about the character you want to be. So let me give an example of like a character I've played. I played a sort of druid barbarian multi-class, and how I wanted to feel was unkillable. And so I considered my rage feature to sort of just be a spell I could use twice a day, because it prevented me from casting other spells and it prevented me from concentrating on anything. It was a concentration spell. Like, for all intents and purposes, entering a rage was a concentration spell for this character. And I like made pretty substantial use of, oh right, and I was a Circle of Dreams, so I could heal without spell casting. So I did a lot of grappling and a lot of healing myself while raging to just maintain HP and to never, ever, ever go down. Like, I would just grab enemies, grab stuff, and not let it go. And I didn't even really attack much. Like, it was mostly grabbing, pushing, and not taking damage. And even if I did take damage, like, not caring. And because I wanted to feel invincible, so I built this character such that I could take actions to make myself feel invincible, and that when the game was being played, I felt invincible because the DM would throw a monster at me and attack. Yeah, sure, it hits. My AC wasn't great, but like, yeah, it hits. Okay, well, does this much slashing damage? That's halved, and even after, 2 rounds of him attacking me, I'd be like, all right, I'm just going to use one of my Circle of Dreams things, and it's all back. I felt invincible. So we're trying to figure out this question for Robin. What does it feel like to be Robin? And there's 2 games where you can be Robin, so it's going to feel different in those games. But tactical is a big one. Seeing and understanding the battlefield, maybe helping others. I mean, that's not a huge part of Robin's skill set, but it also feels, in some ways, to me, unpredictable. Swords, magic. Like, you can just bust out a move, like, suddenly you're melee Robin, suddenly you're throwing out stuff. And I just really like that. I think you also feel limited and vulnerable. Robin, by sort of design, is the player character, and so you can advance to any class in Fire Emblem, but you're not as good a mage as, like, Tharja, was that her name? And you'll never be as good a swordsman as Crom, and you'll never be as good a soldier as Donald, because nobody will, because he's perfect. So we're trying to create situations where you feel that you are analyzing the battlefield, deciding what to do moment to moment, and that those decisions range from melee to magic to assisting others, super flexible. And you should be able to, by making a few key decisions, sort of step into roles that other people have. That in a battle where you need more melee, you should be able to step in and provide that. In a battle where you need more blasting, you should be able to step in and provide that. Let's just jump straight to this, because this is, like, I'm already thinking about it and I just want to get to it. I'm going to really quickly do this and not comment on it while I'm doing it. This will be fun. I'll put a little fast motion thing in the edit. Okay, here's my list of which classes you might choose. Start at the bottom. Barbarian, I don't think I should have to explain that. Monk is an unarmed fighting class. I'm not even sure there's an unarmed fighting feature at all. There aren't even unarmed people in this game at all, so... And Rogue, I feel bad. Like, I really like Rogue, and I just keep putting it down here and then putting it down. I don't want to make like a new type of arcane trickster. Next up from there, Sorcerer's great magic class. They got a good spell list, fire, lightning, necrotic, that kind of stuff, but I don't see Sorcerers having the flexibility of going melee to magic. Fighter, I sort of feel the opposite way about. It's fine, you could, like Rogue, you could make, a magical subclass, and there is a magical subclass, but I in some ways think the D10 hit die is too much. And then Druid, again, spellcaster great, the spell list is okay, but the flavor is all off. Like, we'd have to find out another use for Wild Shape, besides turning into animals, and Robin doesn't have one defining move. Crossing the threshold into B is where we get into stuff where it's like, yeah, totally. If you told me you made a Robin-inspired subclass that was a bard, I'd be like, yeah, totally. Maybe not what I would have chosen, but sure. Spell list kind of sucks, but a lot of battlefield control stuff comes with weapon and armor proficiencies, D8 hit die, and I do like this sort of tactician overlap with bardic inspiration. I think there's a lot that you could explore there. But if you go on, anywhere there's homebrew, you're gonna find tactician bards, battlefield commander bards. Something like a dancer from Fire Emblem could be a really good bard, but it's just not interesting to me in this moment. Rangers down here, because I'm not going to make 2 Rangers in a row. I'm not a masochist. Again, the D10 hit die kind of throws me off. It's too melee focused. But again, like Druids, a lot of naturalist stuff that I don't want to have to explain. Paladin, sort of the other way around. It is a sort of strength-based half-caster. I don't really want to have to do that. Also, and I've been kind of ignoring this, I don't love charisma as Robin's soft stat. I think, again, if we go back to what we want this to feel like, we want you to feel tactical. And I think being charismatic does not feel tactical. Or rather, role-playing a character with high charisma, potentially dumping intelligence, feels weird for someone who studies the map. That is almost certainly an intelligence thing, and if it's not intelligence, it's wisdom. Let's go to A class. So these are the ones that if you told me I made a Robin subclass out of one of these, I'd go, oh yeah, that sounds great. It's pretty cool. Yeah, it's nice. Some of them I like better than others. I'm going to do the thing I did last time where I pull everything up and then I pull them down one by one, starting with Warlock. I really like the resource scarcity of Warlock. I think that maps really interestingly to Robin, but also kind of lame, and I think Charisma's kind of bad. Wizard, very cool, very powerful class. Sort of an obvious choice for this. But Wizard in some ways is defined by not having limits, by recharging magic faster than everyone else with Arcane Recovery. I would need to then give you light armor and weapon proficiency. And I think that if we were going to make a Robin subclass for Wizard, it would end up being so similar to Bladesinger that it's why are you making this? And I think this loops all the way back to what I was saying before, which is make something that hasn't been made. So I'm pulling Wizard off this. Cleric was the first thing that came to mind. This came to mind when we were typing out the desires part. It has weapon and armor proficiency. It is inherently the most does everything class. It is a full caster, which I have mixed feelings about, but I will say that the cleric full casting list doesn't have things like Wish in it, so it's not quite as world-endingly magical as Wizard. It is pretty healy, but you don't have to do those things. Artificer, what I don't like about Artificer is the fucking gadgets, man. It's all gadgets. But, Robin in Super Smash Bros. Is defined by these limited use books. So you could make a calligraphy artificer or a bookbinding artificer. I'm going to say this. Artificer is an interesting idea, but I think that it's slightly more annoying to make homebrew for Artificer because there are fewer examples. And also, I don't like it as much. Robin doesn't make things. So I think that Cleric is going to be it, which is strange because when you think of a tactician, you are generally going to think of an intelligence-based character. But, how much is Robin is an amnesiac? They're not going to pass a history check, or really an arcana check. I think maybe wisdom makes more sense. They just kind of, because I think there's a bit at the beginning of Fire Emblem and Awakening where Robin's like, I can see it. I can see the battlefield. And that feels a little bit more perceptive. And that is how I'm going to justify making Robin wisdom-based. We are making a battlefield tactician cleric. So I don't know if I explained this last time. I have this spreadsheet that I made for myself many years ago that just breaks down all of the classes and subclasses and what happens at each level. But you can see these commonalities, like everyone who gets Divine Strike also gets, except for Trickery, which is really weird, either armor or weapons. Then the ones that get Potent Spellcasting don't. They just get a class-defining feature, and then you get a Channel Divinity, you get another feature at 6, but I should point out what's interesting, nobody gets an extra attack. The idea is that anyone who gets weapon attacks gets Divine Strike, so you're making up the damage by adding some sort of elemental damage. Nobody gets extra attack at 6, even though there are other classes. There are other full casters, Bard, Blade Singers, I guess technically with the Invocation, Warlocks. So we can consider that. At 8, you don't get a choice. It is Potent Spellcasting or Divine Strike. Weirdly, Blessed Strike is the more interesting option for us because it adds one or the other, but I do think that probably this would be a Divine Strike kind of guy. This would be an adding lightning damage with your magical sword. And then you get some huge-ass capstone. So what sucks about clerics is they just kind of don't. Not a lot changes as they move forward. Let's get some vague ideas going here. For Robin, I think we probably want Divine Strike, lightning. We probably want to give them the Levin sword. But that's like one. Alright, well, we're just going to say scimitar for sure. And then I have this idea. I think they should get dragon chess. I like the idea of really playing into like the tactician thing with dragon chess. It is a pointless proficiency, but there's something to be played with in there. I'm gonna have the baseline ability be some sort of elemental flexibility scarcity thing. I'm gonna have maybe the channel ability to be like big old rally. This is like real lame. Oh right, I think multi-attack. I'm just gonna put multi-attack as the 6th level feature. Maybe like Blade Singer multi-attack. And then the capstone. I'm gonna do something crazy here. I have always wanted to do something like this. I've written initiative controller. And what I mean is like, if the ultimate battlefield move would be able to, would you be able to control initiative? Like, instead of rolling for initiative, you can just place your people at the top of it. Let's go back to this, sort of wrap up this first stream, and I say we because I'm using collective nouns because that's how streaming works, even though I'm talking to myself. We are making a battlefield tactician cleric. Something that can fill multiple battlefield roles. It's thematically focused on the Grandmaster archetype. I don't know that we're going to be able to come up with a simple noun followed by the word domain that really gets across. Actually, let's just do it now. Let's do it now. Relatedwords.org. So yeah, strategy. plan, scheme, military, stratagem domain, tactics domain. That's kind of lame. Ploy, gambit domain. This is what I'm gonna think about for the next 24-ish hours. I'm gonna try to come back tomorrow. Hopefully in the future, these won't always be 2 parts, but we're gonna come back and make a cleric subclass for Robin that gets that game feel of I have command of the battlefield, I understand my enemies and my friends, and positioning. Like, positioning is a big part of it, and I can swoop in and swing my sword and throw some elements depending on what needs to happen to fit the situation I'm in. It's been more than a day. I did the first half of this stream on Sunday. It's now Tuesday. It's currently early January 2023. A lot of stuff going on in the sort of D&D homebrew world. The OGL thing is just more or less happening. You know, drawing into question things like this. Like whether doing what I'm doing is going to be allowed or easy in the future. And then the secondary component of like, should I be doing, even if it was allowed, am I part of the problem? So these are important ethical questions that we will not be dealing with. Just to repeat what I talked about last time, what does it feel like to be Robin? It should feel tactical. You should feel like you understand the flow of battle. Positioning is important. Robin's from a grid-based tactical squad fighting game. They also should feel unpredictable. This is something that I've been, as I'm reading about the tactician and the grandmaster, the whole gimmick of Robin's role is that as like a new player, it has like a proficiency with tomes and proficiency with swords, and it's pretty good. So it can kind of run in and do whatever needs doing. This thing about limited and vulnerable, I'm putting that in italics. I thought that would be important, but it's like, I think that might be too much. Right now, D&D already has resource scarcity. It has spell slots, and the cleric has channel divinities. I'm not so sure that adding a third limited resource is a good idea. That's a maybe. Capable is similar to unpredictable. It's able to fill many roles, but also isn't like the war cleric where it's just like, oh, it's a tank. It gets heavy armor. It gets barbarian resistances as its capstone. It is just in there, fight. Or something like a blaster, like the light cleric. And I have been thinking a lot about this like grandmaster thing, which is a term from. It's a term that's used in the chess world. We're just gonna run with this and then change our minds later. This is the games domain. I think I know that the bonuses I want are either a weapon proficiency or just martial weapons. I want a gaming kit proficiency. And then I want an elemental cantrip. Gonna become clearer, but a big thing with Robin and with Fire Emblem is that there's those like triangles, the weapon triangles. And then there's a magic triangle, which is thunder, which is lightning, wind, and fire, which we're going to replace with thunder as wind, lightning as their thunder, and fire as fire. Then the first level feature. Actually, you know what? We're going to skip ahead. We're just going to skip ahead because I have the answer to this. This is Divine Strike. Divine Strike is fire, lightning, or thunder. Okay. Here's the sort of thematic idea here. I want this to be rock, paper, scissors. So we want to introduce early this idea of Rochambeau, of rock, paper, scissors, of being unpredictable, of seeing what your opponent might do and, subverting that. Okay. This is really interesting. So we're going to make a weapon triangle here. This is so stupid. I kind of like this. We're going to make a bludgeoning, piercing, slashing weapon triangle. And the way it triggers is that if an enemy deals one of those to you, that you get advantage on your next attack if it would deal the whatever. So functionally, this is slashing. Axe sort of stands in for bludgeoning, because I think all the hammers in Fire Emblem are like axe types. And so, yeah. I want to create a situation where you roll into battle and you see what sort of weapons or armaments or whatever that creatures have, or enemies have, and you're like, I unsheathe this weapon. And that's your answer. It's like, so this first level feature would be giving you a sort of reason to use your weapons, where your other first level feature is giving you an extra really cool cantrip. And I think this is very stupid, but perhaps really cool. Man, I don't know, how do I phrase this? If a creature targeted you with an attack after the end of your last turn, you can give yourself advantage on the first attack you make against them on your current turn, but only if one of the following requirements are met. If the creature's attack dealt bludgeoning damage, your attack must deal slashing damage, running on down the line. Cool. While we're here, I'm just going to grab the Divine Strike. So the Divine Strike from Nature Cleric had the choice of damage types, and we're going to do fire, lightning, or thunder damage. Which is great, because now you can do like elemental damage when you're doing your Rochambeau nonsense. Let's write this one. Let's go find nature. Oh shit, nature again. Grab that language from Nature Cleric. When you choose this domain at first level, martial weapons, one type of gaming set of your choice. You also learn one cantrip that deals fire, lightning, or thunder damage. So this means you can learn Great Bonfire, or you could learn Lightning Lore, or you could learn Firebolt. And right, this is the thing. A lot of the really cool fire, lightning are not in the basic rules, so I can't explicitly give them to you, and I can't name drop them either. I can't say learn one from this list, because I can't name drop those spells. But if I say this, I'm not naming the spells. Okay, so that's that feature. First level bonuses, which is usually called Arcane Initiate. It's called Bonus Cantrip, Acolyte of Nature. So we don't have to call it what I was imagining, which is bonus proficiencies, I think. Yeah, no, that's it. It's strategic proficiency. Right, it's not bonus proficiency, it's a strategic proficiency. It's like, it's got the sort of extra weird flavor of like, you made this choice very smartly. Which, like, a tiny part of me wants to make you choose 3 martial weapons, but that seems very unnecessary. But like, it's like maybe just stupid enough to work. I got an idea for the 6th level feature. But don't riot. There's 2 good examples of this. Eldritch Knight, which gives you a bonus action weapon attack when you make a cantrip attack. Absolutely, in every single way worse than multi-attack and a cantrip can be one of them. I want to just do this. I just want, look, like, gun to my head, sword, spear, axe to my head. I just want to do this. I just want to do Blade Singer multi-attack because it's cool and it's got that mix-up quality that this subclass is about. I've given you an extra cantrip. I've given you weapon attack special shit. Like, you should be doling them out in equal measure. Again, this is, I gotta keep reminding myself, this is first draft. If you roll up one of these characters and you realize that, like, by 6th level, you are an unstoppable monster on the battle, making an attack every turn. You pull out the correct weapon, you make an attack with advantage, and you cast, and then you get your, 1d8 fire damage, and then you cast a cantrip, and it's just all over the place, totally unreasonable. Okay. All right, I would way rather make something that gets to the table and is too strong, and you just want to do it all too much, than get to the table and be like, it doesn't really do anything, and I don't like playing this. It is way better to, in testing, find out that something's too good, and go, okay, we have to limit this, because D&D has great methods for limiting. It's got short rest, long rest. It's got proficiency bonus. It's got, wisdom modifier, cleric. Even better, you could make this sixth level feature that's a channel divinity. That you get extra attack, but you can use channel divinity to make one of your extra attacks a cantrip. Sure. You know what? To distract myself from the fact that I don't have any ideas for the two wide open features, let's do spells. Just like we did last time, I'm just going to go through and I'm just going to grab any spell that I think makes sense. And just to reiterate, if you want to release something, I'm just going to say on D&D Beyond because of all the OGL stuff happening and the fact that it may not exist by the time this goes up, or who knows, or by the time you're watching this. In 2023, if you want to put something up on the D&D Beyond community homebrew page, you have to use the source reference document, which means you have to use the basic rules filter. Only these spells, these 16-ish pages of spells, can be referenced in your homebrew. So, as I said last time, it's not every spell. It's not even a lot of spells. If you're watching this and you're thinking of a spell, oh, that'd be so perfect for the games domain. Yeah, you might be right, but double check. It's probably not in the basic rules. So let's start at first level. Bane and Bless are interesting. That's got a very strategic feel. They are already cleric spells, but I will put them on there because it's not unheard of. Because clerics are getting 2 spells per level from this, and part of the benefit is that they're always prepared, not just that they have access to them. It's not a big deal to give them one they already have. And I wouldn't give them 2 at the same level that they already have, but, 1, okay. I like Expeditious Retreat. I think there's something kind of fun and strategic about that, just being able to zip around the battlefield. I like Hellish Rebuke here, specifically because it is it's potentially a very good strategic spell. Oh, and Thunderwave. I like Thunderwave. Let's go second level. I like Augury because I imagine someone using their gaming kit for it. Enhance Ability. Enhance Ability is interesting. That has a Dragon Chessy kind of flavor. I endow you with this, I endow you with that. I'm going to put it on there because it also has that sense of reacting to the situation. This is what I need in this moment. Flaming Sphere has a good sort of game piece energy to it. Gust of Wind. Okay, Gust of Wind also is Tempest Domain, but I'm putting it on here because it's repositioning. Robin has those very clear wind things. Scorching Ray, Shatter. Spiritual Weapon has the same energy as Flaming Sphere. It's that kind of you put a game piece down. Let's do third. Counterspell, I think, has a fun game energy. Fireball. Lightning Bolt. Vampiric Touch is interesting. It's probably the closest you're going to get to Robin's Super Smash Bros. Down B. This is cool, but in an attempt to make this subclass coherent and not just the Robin subclass, I'm not going to do this. The goal here isn't just to perfectly replicate Robin. If you want to perfectly replicate Robin, you can do it. You want to be Robin, just be a Blade Singer. I think we've already talked about this. Robin's just a Blade Singer anyway. If you want to make an interesting subclass that explores fun ideas, we're not going to do this. I've spent too long on this already. Yeah, fuck it. Let's do Windwall. 4th level. I think that Arcane Eye is interesting. You could hypothetically pop it up above and look at the whole battlefield. Freedom of movement is interesting. I think it's in the same realm as Expeditious Retreat, which I put on this list. Wall. I'm going to put Wall of Fire because we have that other wall. 5th level. Last one. I'll put Flame Strike on there even though Light and War get it. Boy, there's not a lot in basic rules for 5th level. I'm going to put Telepathic Bond because that has a commanding the field vibe. Here we are again. There's only 2 on here. So I guess I'll just bold these. And you know what? I'm gonna get real weird. I'm gonna take out Wall of Fire. Too many people get Wall of Fire already. We've got Flame Strike. I for sure want Lightning Bolt. We've got this huge fire one here. This is sort of the big lightning spell. I'm going to go in right now that I'm like sort of committed to Flame Strike being the big fire attack. I'm going to take Scorching Ray out. Yeah, and I'm going to take Flaming Sphere out. On level 3, Wind Wall is too defensive. I just don't like I don't like Fireball Lightning Bolt as a 1-2. I think that's lame. So I think that this is Counterspell Lightning Bolt. If this is the big lightning spell, and this is the big fire spell, that Shatter is the big thunder spell. I think Shatter becomes our wind effect, and maybe we don't need Gust of Wind here. But I do think that Enhance Ability is more about in the moment, what do we need right now, which is the purpose of this. Augury is a little bit more divinity-based, and it's not as much reality-based, and so I think it's Enhance Ability. Boy, we got a lot of first levels. We've got a fire spell, we've got a thunder spell, we've got something that helps us on the battlefield, and we've got 2 things that help other people. And I think, since you don't get Flame Strike until 5th level, until 9th actual level, I'm going to keep Hellish Rebuke. And the question becomes, do we give them a second damaging spell? Do they get 2 damage spells at 1st level? Well, does anyone else? They get Identify and Searing Smite. Nope. Bane and False Light, not even 1. Knowledge, not even 1. Life, not even 1. Light, helpful and damage. Nature, not even 1. So Bane, Bless, or Expeditious Retreat. I honestly think that it's not about hurting others. It's about helping yourself and your party. So it becomes Bless. So Bless, Hellish Rebuke. And there's our spell list. So this is... So the idea I had for this guy in general was that when the battle starts, you're like setting the pieces on the board. I think it would be hilarious if when your party rolls initiative, everyone can swap around initiative. Let's say you've got your like big tanky dude who always got -1 dexterity and he just rolls like shit. But it'd be great if he could go first. So you're just like, whatever. Our rogue, who rolls awesome every time, will just give you his initiative. You're like setting the pieces. Is that stupid? Kind of. Should that be a capstone? Is that so good that it's a capstone? I can't see how it is. I wish I had an audience so they could shout at me, "No, you fool." That is a capstone level ability. But from playing D&D and from running D&D, the order in which people go doesn't matter a ton. Unless you think the combat isn't going to last past the first round. Everyone's going before and after everyone else. I guess it matters a little bit when it comes to things like lair actions. Who's going right before the lair action? Who's going right after the lair action? I'm going to say this again. First draft. This could be hilariously overpowered, but I think it's cool. How are we writing this? Ambush. We're doing ambush. That's sort of the language. You make dexterity, stealth check, or an initiative roll. You can expand it. Yeah. When you roll initiative, provided you aren't incapacitated or surprised, you can expend a use of your channel divinity to choose a number of friendly creatures equal to your wisdom modifier +1, minimum of 2 creatures, which may include yourself. This is interesting. There isn't language for this. For take a number and give it to someone else. I suppose you could maybe consider the divination wizard's portent. You replace. Do they write down? Record their old. Okay, that's bonkers. After the chosen creatures roll initiative, record their rolled values, then redistribute those values to the chosen creatures as you see fit, assigning each rolled value to a different creature. Yeah, fuck it. It's not really official language. Yeah, fuck it. That's cool. Fantastic. That's truly bonkers. Channel divinity. I'm called setting the board. What is the capstone for this guy? At 17th level, you learn 9th level spells. I just want to look at 9th level spells. I know this seems weird, but I've always liked the idea of maybe a cleric capstone involving a spell. I am fascinated by the idea of foresight. Can't be surprised. Advantage on attack rolls, ability checks, saving throws. Like the ultimate gamer move. There is precedent for this. Specifically, there is limited wish from Hexblade, or from Genie, Jesus. I can't just say you get foresight. That's not a feature. That's even there are some features in the game where people just get a spell. So like Necromancy Wizard gets Animate Dead, but they get all this shit with Animate Dead. That's what we want. We want foresight with extra bullshit. Well, okay, maybe I give you the spell, and then I give you, okay, yeah. You can use your Channel Divinity to have it for an hour. Get foresight as a cleric spell. You can use your Channel Divinity to cast a limited version of it. Requires concentration, lasts an hour. Where can we find language for this? Arcane Mastery uses language like this because it's giving you wizard spells. Oh shit, our Arcane Mastery you can just get foresight. Whoops. Here we go. So I've taken that language. At 17th level, you add the spell Foresight to your list of domain spells. Like your other domain spells, it's always prepared and counts as a cleric spell for you. So you get Foresight, it's always prepared, and you can use your Channel Divinity to do hourly Foresights. But it's concentration, so you can't just use 3 Channel Divinities to like pop, pop, pop. And it takes an hour, even if you can sleep. All right, that's incredibly stupid, but I'm tired. I'm gonna call it solved game. We're gonna make a homebrew subclass. I think we determined that based on these features, our best bet is nature because it's got the multiple proficiency, like a cantrip and some stuff. It's also got the divine strike with multiple damage types. So we're gonna reproduce nature domain, games domain, description TBD. Ooh, right. Oh, the domain spells go straight in here. Bless, Hellish Rebuke, Enhance Ability, Shatter, Counterspell, Lightning Bolt, Arcane Eye, Freedom of Movement, Flame Strike, Telepathic Bond. Save. Let's start with Acolyte of Nature. This is our strategic proficiencies. Here's the description. Let's save those changes. We are going to add a modifier. It is proficiency. Choose a martial weapon. And then we're going to do one more, which is proficiency. Choose a gaming. Oh, choose a gaming set's in there. Then spells. So D&D Beyond only has tools to recreate things that exist in the rules right now. There are functions to restrict by class. So like you can learn a blank cantrip or learn a whatever spell, like with Arcana Domain. There isn't a restriction for like deals fire, lightning, or thunder damage. And so I can't build a thing that enforces that rule. I can let you learn any cantrip. You see this problem with Eldritchite and Arcane Trickster, in that there isn't a way to restrict your spell choice. You could go in and choose a bunch of spells that don't actually match the written rules. So there isn't going to be a mechanism here. What I can do is I can say you learn a cantrip, and I can put the restriction, must deal fire, lightning, or thunder damage. I can put that restriction in. I can put it there as a reminder, but I cannot stop you from just choosing, Acid Splash. But if you're watching this and you want to play with this subclass, just be cool, bro. Choose Create Bonfire or or Firebolt. Don't choose Eldritch Blast. I know I put it on there. I'm sorry. I don't have the power to stop it. So we are going to add a class feature, which is Rochambeau. I'm noticing some language issues with this, but putting it in, that's it. It doesn't need anything else because this doesn't do anything. This doesn't change anything. So that means Rochambeau is in. It doesn't have an action type. It doesn't grant a spell. It doesn't do any of that. Channel Divinity, set the board. Snippet TBD. All of this is sort of TBD. So this is the description. There it is. Oh, yeah. It's an action. All right, I'm actually going to delete the existing plants and animals action. Let me double check. Is there something in here for uses Channel Divinity? Doesn't have any level overrides. Doesn't do anything. All right. So then I don't need this. I'm gonna make a new one because making a new one is sort of slightly more instructive. It is a general action. It's got this name. It's a special activation type, and that's it. It's just a special action called Set the Board. We're on Dampen Elements now, which for us is 2 of a kind, which we may need some help with. Modifiers. Is it set? Extra attacks. All right, this is where we're gonna do this. We gotta make a wizard. This is why I really want, if D&D Beyond continues, if I continue using it, I really want a documentation of how to do this. It's a modifier, it's set, extra attacks, fixed value 1. So that's it, 2 of a kind done. Great, oh good, and now Divine Strike, and I could even keep their little code snippet. And I really should go back and update the last one I made to have these code snippets, like the scale value thing. If you want to make something look super legit, you should do that. I'm going to try and go through and do that with this, but all this stuff just says level scaling 2. It doesn't seem like it has typing. Okay. So if they didn't do it, I'm not going to do it. Divine Strike, done. Just right off the bat, Foresight. Just put Foresight in there. I mean, obviously, right? Like, so Master of Nature becomes solved game. Here's our solved game. And I'm going to make a new action for this. Spell, limited Foresight. Its activation type is an action. Channel Divinity, limited Foresight. Done. So then, Games Domain. What are the features? Strategic proficiencies, Rochambeau, Channel Divinity, Set the Board, 2 of a kind, Divine Strike, and Solved Game. Let's make one. Let's make this guy into one of them. He's gonna be a Games Domain, and we're gonna pump him up to level 20. Strategic proficiencies, Gaming Set, Dragon Chest, Martial Weapon. I don't know why I'm actually thinking about this. Scimitar, and Rapier, and Warhammer. And the spell, so you can see, I mean, can you see? Oh, these don't come up in, oh wow. I didn't realize that's what was happening. You can't see me scrolling through these. Well, it's every cantrip in this list, but I am going to be cool and choose Thunderclap because I'm cool. And let's see. Does the man have what he should? I'm sorry, your name is Test Cantrip. I was testing the cantrip thing earlier in the day. Let's see. You've got Rapier, Scimitar, Simple Weapons, and Warhammer. Dragon Chest. You have the Strategic Proficiency, Thunderclap. Bless, Hellish Rebuke, Enhance Ability, Shatter, Counterspell, Lightning Bolt, Arcane Eye, Freedom of Movement, Flame Strike, Telepathic Bond, and then Foresight. As an action, attacks per action 2. Pretty cool. You've got an action, Channel Divinity, Limited Foresight, and Channel Divinity, Turn Undead, and... oh, where's the other Channel Divinity? Oh, it's on an action. It's Channel Divinity, Set the Board, which is an other. Limited use, you've got Nothing I Did, Reaction, you got Hellish Rebuke and Counterspell, because It gave you cool smells. I mean, we could just, like, if we feel like being fussy about this, just double checking that everything works. If I equip a Warhammer, I get +5 to hit, which makes sense because my proficiency is +6 and I have a -1 to strength. If I add, let's say, a Maul, which I don't have proficiency with, my to hit is -1. So that all worked. Foresight's in there. Fantastic. This is the games domain. I mean, it's pretty unfinished, but nobody's watching. Nobody's, hankering to get this in their homebrew collection right now. So, good. I'm done. So that was the games domain. I'm going to have to record like a much more substantial outro to this because I'm going to end up writing all the flavor text. But all right, that's two done. Thanks for watching either this or the edited video, or more realistically, no one has watched or will watch any of these. I got to get out of here. I don't want to do this anymore. I'll see you later. Just a quick outro. Obviously in the video there was no flavor text on anything. If you go check it out on D&D Beyond, you'll see that I've added all of that. I'm not 100% sure I'm going to do another one of these this week. There's a chance I may never do another one of these again for some reasons. But if you do come across it, you do like it, let me know. I'm still deciding. So hopefully, see you next time.